Women in Leadership, brought to you by HeronCode, the management consultancy for what happens next. For more information, you can visit HeronCode.com. Welcome back to the Women in Leadership podcast with HeronCode, where I hope you've enjoyed the series so far. I mean, we definitely have. We've sat down with phenomenal women who've shared their stories with us, their journeys, personal, professional. And today is absolutely no different, as I'm joined by Raja Al Mazrouei, who is the Executive Vice President at Fintech Hive at DIFC, which is the region's first Fintech Accelerator. Raja, welcome to the HeronCode podcast.
Thank you for having me today. It's my pleasure to be with you today and also to contribute to the amazing stories that we've been listening to through the podcast.
Absolutely. And contribute you shall. And I know that because I have read so much about you and your story and what you've achieved so far. But I think it's really important to know where you're at right now is to understand where you came from and how it all started. So let's take you back to the beginning. I read somewhere that you began your journey in coding. How did that even start?
So after high school, I had the option to go to the higher colleges of technology in Abu Dhabi a long time ago. And at that time, the program of information systems was first introduced into the college. And nobody wanted to do that program because we didn't know. We were not very familiar with technology and those terms as we are today. But I was very curious. And I went into that program, started playing with code, and was really excited to get my one line of code to work after like 5-6 hours. Today you drag and drop and you get a website going. But it was a really interesting and exciting time for me because I was part of a very small group of women who were doing that program and trying to also figure out why are we doing this instead of doing, the other programs in business and communication, which sounded more fun. But it really gave us an edge today compared to doing other programs because with technology, you get to understand more of the back scene and operations of any system and structure that there is.
And let's talk about that curiosity that you spoke about, because I feel like a lot of people would be fearful to even try something new. So that was definitely a personality trait of yours, was it?
It still is.
I thought so, because especially when you're young, I mean, I feel like everyone, like you said, goes towards like the business, goes towards the communication, kind of what is the norm, I guess. So coding back then, what was your curiosity around it?
My curiosity was, first of all, why no one else is doing it? Number two is, where is it going to take me? What type of career opportunities will I get with that? And the same time, my friends and community at that time was like, this is not for you. You won't be able to get a nice job because this is mainly, a programmer, back office kind of an operation. What type of companies do you think you'll be going to? But I really wanted to explore further. And the more I coded, I really got excited. And from there, I really stopped the limitation of what is going to be next as much as enjoy what I'm doing and learning right now. And the interesting part is I actually got a work placement within the college, within the IT department there, and I was one of the first Emirati hires of the college. And then I continued my journey as leading the software development team within the college. I was learning, I was developing, and I was programming at the same time. So it's very exciting, and I'm really proud to be able to take all of that to where I am today, at the front of the financial services sector that is being transformed in addition to all other sectors by technology, and being able to understand how that technology is creating all these transformation opportunities is a result of that curiosity many years ago.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I mean, your journey has been so interesting because we managed to speak before we hit record on this podcast, and you studying at Harvard Business School in Boston, you feel it really contributed thoroughly to your career. Is that right?
It actually created a major shift in my life, if I may say, because before going to Harvard, I actually studied within the UAE in the higher colleges of technology. I did my master's with UAE University, and in my master's program, I was doing an MBA, so it's really focused on business and management. And then I was in IT roles across. And I was very comfortable with IT because it's a back office kind of role. And I preferred to sit back and, code and program and, just submit solutions and designs. But then when I did the executive education program at Harvard, I was forced to look at it from a completely different perspective. I was forced to communicate and negotiate and discuss with amazing people from all over the world that were mostly coming from the leadership part of the businesses. So after that program at Harvard, I came back and I decided I'm not going to do IT anymore. I want to be in business development. I want to be in marketing. I want to be in strategy. I want to be the face of the business. But that did not last long, because 2 years later, technology disrupts everything, and fintech evolved as a new sector within the financial services industry. And I thought that that was a match made in heaven for me, because I can leverage on my tech experience and knowledge, combine it with understanding the financial services sector, and be the enabler for financial institutions to tap into technology and innovation opportunities through co-creation with startups that are developing innovative solutions in fintech.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about that is what you're talking about is a very diverse career path. I mean, in the sense that, you know, back in the day, I feel like if you decided to go into business management, that is, you're kind of just like focused on that. Whereas you kind of dipped and dabbed into a few different things to actually carve your own path. And I think that we live in a world nowadays where you can do a bit of everything to achieve what you want to achieve. Is that something that you would encourage young entrepreneurs or young children or adults in tech who want to be doing what you're doing?
Absolutely. Today, I think if I look at different leaders across the world, you will see that most of these successful CEOs, some have sort of interaction with technology. Combining technology, marketing, and strategy really gives you a proper view of how to lead those organizations into growth. I encourage my kids and I mentor my nieces, and I talk to them all about understanding technology because it's core. We used to be mentored about understanding the numbers and the math and the language, but now technology is becoming the language. All the solutions are developed, all the designs, all the creatives. It's a digital world, and unless you understand technology, you won't be able to do it. And you know, whether we like it or not, it's integrated in our lifestyle. The pandemic accelerated the adoption of technology. All the kids know how to use their online channels, and all the mothers as well, because they needed to make sure that the kids are online and studying and submitting. So it really disrupted us in a massive way, but really geared the direction towards technology.
And let's talk about women in tech, because I mean, now more so than ever, we have more women involved and in high positions in tech and fintech in particular. But that wasn't always the case. So I can imagine along your journey, did you have any challenges when it came to a woman? Did you feel like you had to work harder to get to where your male counterpart wanted to be?
It really depends on how you look at it. I personally didn't feel that because I was very comfortable developing technology. But once I started looking at the opportunities within business, I thought that I wasn't ready because I did not integrate both tech with the business. And that's why I started to diversify. I'm a passionate learner, started to teach myself different things. I read and I learn and I do different courses. Every once in a while, I would do this program because I can get, a condensed summary of what this evolution is about. But when you look at the tech in particular, it's important. And women in tech are a rare commodity. And the whole sector and all businesses are looking for women in tech because these domains are really dominated by men, not for any reason. It's just because they think that they don't fit. And that was the reason why we launched a program at the DIFC Fintech Hive called Accelerate Her. And in Accelerate Her, what we did is we started looking at women early in their career in either finance or in technology. And we put them in a boot camp program that introduced them to fintech, to innovation, to merging the two capabilities together to be able to deliver a unique set of expertise. And we've accelerated more than 80 women through this program. It's a global program. We have participants from all over the world. And we are so excited about the women that take those bold decisions of either moving from finance to tech or from tech to finance, and the few of them that launch their own fintech startups as a result of this program.
And so in your opinion, do you think that we need more programs like this to facilitate more women in tech, or do you think that we need the companies that are already existing to be a lot more open to hiring women in the high positions?
I think the companies are looking for these women. I think we need to continue to talk about this topic because we need to create the awareness around these opportunities. Unless they listen to me or see someone like me, they wouldn't think that it's possible for someone to go from tech to finance to leadership and along that path. But if someone like me is there and start talking, and then you're interviewing all of these amazing women who's bypassed all of these challenges to create new realities, I think we will be able to inspire more women to follow their dreams and, tap into their confidence and explore new opportunities. And if it doesn't work, who cares? We try something else.
And that's such an important mindset, I think, is that you don't welcome failure. I mean, no one wants to fail, but that failure is part of it, right? I mean, I'm sure along your journey, you've had challenges and you've had downs. How have you really picked yourself back up from them?
Managing your own expectation is very important. So, for example, I have ventured into developing my own tech startup. And while I was doing the design and the technology and the MVP, I've spent so much time and money on making it work till I got to a certain point of time where I realized I can continue to fool myself, but this will get more challenging day by day, or I can just stop it here, learn from the time I've invested and the money that I've invested into this to developing something that has more either mass market or less restrictions in terms of deploying the solution. So when you look at it that I am investing in my learning, even if I spend time on this project and it doesn't work, it's okay, I've learned. And now this mistake will never happen again and will teach me a new way of looking at those opportunities.
And that point where you said that you realized, okay, maybe what I'm doing right now isn't the right way to do it. Maybe I need to take another direction. I think sometimes for a lot of people, no matter what industry you're in, there is that self-awareness that a lot of people need to have, right? But then there's also that balance of inspiring and wanting to achieve and not to give up. Where is that balance? The self-awareness, the realism, but then also the ambition to achieve.
So the ambition is really your driver. But really, your anchor is the self-realization. And as if you spend time reflecting on how you're doing compared to where you're going, I think it will give you that balance. But it's really, as you said, very important balance to keep in mind and not get carried away after our dreams and ambitions, because there's a lot to learn and we won't be able to figure it all on our own, especially that we are innovating and creating new solutions and we're going places that no one else has been to before.
And you said earlier, it's so important for us all to have these conversations, for women to be out there, for other women to see. Do you ever consider yourself a role model to many?
I actually do. And, I'm humbled and honored that I keep on receiving this feedback from a lot of women, because they tell me and they share with me and say, Raja, you're inspiring. We're learning from you. Even if I'm having the most difficult day of my life and I walk into the office thinking about so many challenges that are going into my mind, a lady will come to me and say, oh, Raja, it's really a pleasure to meet you. You inspire me. And then that gives me a boost towards, overcoming everything else, because these women look at me. These people are looking at me and, waiting for me to do something else. So they give me that energy to continue with these.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I completely agree with you. And I resonate with that so much that, even if you are in the worst mood ever, where do you find that strength then? Because I feel like there is a bubble and this shiny light on success stories. And you see the finished product, but you don't see what goes on day to day. And that it is really, really tough what everyone's doing, just trying to succeed, trying to get through every day. But what is your pick-me-up? What keeps you going?
Creating impact. And I've thought about this so many times because I try to find my purpose. And, it's really hard to really find your purpose and reflect on that. And I realized what's in it in this role that gives me joy. And looking at the startups around me, the minute they do a raise, for example, the day they add 2-3 people to their team, the day they win a deal. So for me, this is an impact that's created by my participation in this role within this organization that has vision to enable those entrepreneurs and startups to make it. Being able to help someone put food on that table means a lot. Whether the company headquartered here and the development team is somewhere else, it doesn't matter. You're contributing towards an economy. You're very ambitious, but when you have this personal touch with those people, you'll be able to connect and reflect on the impact that you're creating directly or indirectly.
And these connections and these networks are so important no matter what you do, right? I mean, a lot of people are introverts and they find it really difficult to create these connections even if they want to. Were you quite an extrovert? What's your personality type?
I've been introvert for the most part of my life until I realized one day that no, I wasn't really an introvert. I just thought that I was because I didn't tap into my confidence. I was always, like a prisoner of my own thoughts and my own perceptions. I never asked for help, never asked for direction. And this is why I think mentorship is really important, because I've been through this myself and I realized all of these facts on my own, that I actually could go and ask and I could express my opinion and I could share a recommendation without being judged. But they were all in my mind and I never spoke them out. And this is why I think mentorship, again, is very important, because when we start talking about our vulnerabilities and our, the situations that we've been through that made us realize this, those young girls will learn from us and will fast track their career. They don't have to go through the same challenges that I've been through, because I've told them I've been there and I've done that and I realized this. So they will take the learning out of the situation and move on faster.
And it's so amazing that you're a mentor to so many now that just look up to you and feel guided by you. And it's a shame that you lacked that in your own journey. Do you feel like, did you ever attempt to get a mentor? Did you ever reach out to people? Was it that kind of thing, or just people weren't available, I guess, directly as they are now?
I think that culture was not there at that time, and especially that I was in a very particular field of work between tech and finance. There were not a lot of women in those domains. And even when they were there, I would look at them so impressed. I wouldn't have the guts to go and ask. But today, again, technology brings us all closer, and you can reach out to any coach or self-development or workshop online. You can book these sessions, talk to them without, being worried whether you know this person or not. And this is why we keep on pushing for all of these programs, because once you get that experience and you feel it's okay, you will be able to, reach out to whomever you want.
I always got told the answer is already no before you've even asked, so you might as well ask.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to take you to a bit of the journey and the career that you've had so far is incredibly busy. I imagine, even for us to have you here, we're very thankful. So thank you for making time for us. But work-life balance, it's such a buzzword, it's such a key term that everyone speaks about nowadays, especially since the pandemic. People have taken a real look at themselves and, thought maybe I'm working too much. Maybe I need to focus more on family, on friends, on my life, on my health, whatever it may be. Do you personally struggle with that, or is that something that you're quite methodical about and you know what you're doing?
I think we're all struggling with that, because the lines between work and life has blurred with technology. You receive emails anytime during the day. You work across different time zones. You work with different clients and partners all over the world. It's really just important how you manage yourself, because you won't be able to stop the inflow of emails and calls, but you will be able to control your own time. And it's really important to detox, to have a period where you're not checking your email, where you take time for a short trip or time to reflect on your work. I think it's really important, because otherwise you will be drained. And, these big terms now, especially with the hybrid work from home and work from the office and work from anywhere, the great resignation and the quiet quitting, people started to realize they're spending so much time at work, they're not spending enough time with their families. And so many people started to realize also that being burnt out with these jobs and are losing sight of what's next or where next. So it's really important to keep that pulse close, to use technology in our advantage to enable us to get things done effectively and efficiently. I love the Zoom calls when I'm driving my car. But, I think it's a blessing, because otherwise I would have had to block 1 hour and a half for every single meeting. Use it to your advantage and disconnect. Make sure that you disconnect to be able to recharge and come back.
So what is it that you do to unwind and to, just kind of have you time?
So I do meditate. Mm-hmm. I listen to a lot of ebooks. I love listening to books. I can't read anymore. It's just too much screen time.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it. And then I take small trips every once in a while. Dubai is such a hub. You can, travel to most of the world within 3 to 4 hours. So these short breaks really recharge me, and I meet startups everywhere. So I love that part of the trip as well.
Yeah. So you're always on, no matter what, but you're still relaxing, which is good to know. You must manage so many people, and I personally think managing people is the hardest job out of it all. Forget everything else. It's the one-to-one, it's the man-to-man, kind of connection and relationship that you have with your team. Is that something that you have that's been at the forefront of your mind, when creating Fintech Hive and things like that? How vital is it to have the right team around you?
It's really important to have the right team around you, and I'm proud to tell you that I have all-female team members. But when we do interviews and we select those members to join, they all know that we would be doing everything at any time. So yes, you probably come as a marketing manager, but if we're having a program and we have guests and we need to move furniture around, we all do that. We don't have this kind of hierarchy. We all work within an ecosystem. And the ecosystem is a word that we started using since 2018, as soon as the Fintech Hive was launched, because we realized that the success of the Fintech Hive depends on the ecosystem partners that all contribute and add value. So I don't only manage my team, but I manage a complex ecosystem of partners, financial institutions, law firm, technology companies, lifestyle companies, startups, delegations that come from all over the world. They just want to know, they want to understand, so you will have to always be able to connect and communicate at that level. So it's really important. Face-to-face is also very important, but if you can't do it all the time, then, thanks to Zoom, we have all the virtual options.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I actually think there's been a shift in employer-employee relationships. I think that employers are now adjusting to the employees' needs, especially since the pandemic. Is that something that you've seen within your teams and the people that you've been working with?
Yes. So with the remote working policy, we were able to really get more out of staff, because they want to get things done and at the same time manage their own life. And also our accelerator program was in person for 3 months. So we shifted the whole thing virtual, and we were managed to finish the program in a month compared to 3 months. So we decided to do 2 sprints instead of 1 a year. So it really enabled us to do all of that.
I read somewhere, and I'm going to quote you now, if that's okay. I read an article where you said, "I look at the opportunity rather than the challenge." Can you tell us what that means?
Yes, I'm a very positive person. I like to think of myself as a very positive person. So every time a challenge, comes my way, or someone comes and says, this is a challenge, I say, okay, let's look at it from a different perspective. Yes, it's a challenge, but there's definitely a solution or a different way to solve this challenge. So I do that in all aspects of my life, not only with work.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. I like that. I think that's the right way to go about things. So advice for, aspiring entrepreneurs in this current climate. I feel I have so many people in my network, no matter where they are, what they do, that they have all the qualifications in the world to get a job nowadays, but they just find it so hard to get it. And I'm sure we have so many listeners that are, in maybe the same position. Do you have any advice for them moving forward? I mean, we spoke about networking earlier. Just ask the question, get out there. Any other advice that you may have?
I think my advice would be really to look at the opportunities from the digital world that we're living in. Today, you can definitely get a job anywhere in the world. If you get onto those websites that promote, freelancing, the Fivers and the Upwork and all of these websites, they enable you to tap into these opportunities. And once you start providing consistent kind of work, you'll be able to get more ratings that is supported by the users that views your work, and you'll be able to tap into it. Technology enables us today to work anywhere. Just being active on all of these digital channels will enable those individuals to get those jobs. And if they like something and they don't like doing it as freelancers or can't get a job, start your own business. It's really easy. You can get a commercial license. You can get a technology platform ready-made, just customized for your idea. Promote it, be your brand ambassador, speak and talk about your brand and showcase your brand, and you'll be able to capture that.
So do you think it's easier nowadays to launch and maintain a successful business than it was back in the day before we even had the internet?
Absolutely. And I think there are plenty of success stories. If you look at the lady who launched Canva or all of these platforms today, they all started from home. They started from home. There was a need in the market and they thought, well, let me try it. I'm sure when she designed Canva, she didn't think that it's going to be a global platform that is used by all designers around the world. But it really enabled her to tap into that market, because to do that, you just need to understand how to access the technology, where to register the company, and how to promote your business. And it's all available online.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, what it sounds to me is you are so sure of yourself. And I love the confidence that you have. I'm so aware a lot of people may not, but I think that also comes down to the people around you, the close people. You said before when you went into coding that your friends were like, what are you doing? Is this really the right thing to be doing? How is that something that you've really been conscious of, keeping the right people around you in order to, really get to where you want to get to?
So my friends still ask me, are you sure you want to do this? Even with the fintech, when I decided to do fintech in 2017, my friends were like, what is fintech? What are you doing? You're jeopardizing your career. I was like, let's experiment and let's explore. And if it doesn't work, it's fine. We restart somewhere else. And I think it's that entrepreneurial spirit that, drives me, although I don't call myself an entrepreneur because I haven't launched a successful business or a unicorn yet. But that's for me, that's entrepreneurship. But I think, I don't have that fear that stops me from trying new things. And I've tried and I've failed and I tried and I succeeded. So it's really that being able to experiment and breaking free from, the mindset and the fears and, the circumstances around you will enable you to tap into new adventures and new opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about those opportunities, in particular, fintech now in the MENA region. How is it looking in terms of, development? What is exciting that's coming up, and where do you really see it going in the next few years?
So fintech as a journey started back in 2017, and we had been monitoring the trends in this sector for quite some time. It started with the blockchain, and everything was trying to solve problems of normal problems using the blockchain technology. So now we have the KYC on the blockchain, we have all the ID and regulatory technology solutions on the blockchain. The following year, we started to see a trend towards wealth management, robo-advisors, saving solutions, individual and accessible, because the main aim of fintech is really for financial inclusion. Everybody should have the opportunity to use those services regardless of who they are, where they are, how much they make, and where are they located in the world. Then with the pandemic, it really pushed the contactless and cashless payments. And all of the digital banking solutions started to evolve because, the technology has accelerated it. Everyone is stuck somewhere in the world and they need to access those services. Moving forward, obviously, the metaverse, the NFTs, the Web3 is really shaping the future of technology. We are experimenting right now with what solutions from the metaverse will work for fintech. I personally think the focus will be on wallets and cryptocurrencies, but these are still, volatile kind of currencies. How are they going to govern is going to dictate how successful they're going to be in the future.
And in particular, I mean, for anyone listening right now who may not even be in the MENA region and who's excited to just know more about the space, why be here? Why be in Dubai? Why be in the UAE to really explore this space?
I think you'll be able to answer this question better than me, but I would say, the UAE has really created a co-living space for anyone from anywhere in the world to come and set up a business here and start their career or start their life, start their businesses. There's different types of visa permits that enable any type of talent to come here. Access to funding is available. Access to regulation is available regardless of the sector. And also we have an international court system that is available for any, litigation that is based on international standards. On top of it, the lifestyle, and also you just feel you belong here in Dubai. In general, it is a very friendly, cosmopolitan city that you would find it easy to live and connect with people around here. We see a lot of them come and never leave. They're part of the city, and we as locals are so proud and happy to be able to have those people consider Dubai as their home. Most of my friends, whether they're locals or not, wherever they travel, and I think you and the others are the same, they say, where are you coming from? They say, we're from Dubai. So it's really home for a lot of people.
And I want to talk and end the episode, about your journey and where you really see yourself going now. What is the next 5 years looking like for you?
That's $1 million question. And, I am a passionate learner. I continue to learn, and now I'm very passionate about learning the new technologies, the Web3, the metaverse, building exponential organizations to see what are the opportunities for me to do, as I would say, next. We've built the first and largest Fintech Accelerator in the region. We built the most complex ecosystem for startups to launch and scale from the region. Now, what's next is going to be really more complex. I would say, I'm not going to say challenging, but it has to create a bigger impact. And for me, I think focusing on technology and understanding how to use that to enable this type of growth is going to be core of my vision.
Well, I have absolutely no doubt that you are going to achieve your vision in probably less time than you even think. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you and getting to know your journey a lot more. I'm sure the listeners have benefited so much. So, Raja, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Women in Leadership, brought to you by HeronCode, the management consultancy for what happens next. For more information, you can visit HeronCode.com.